It's the perils of being a car guy. The next project I'm working on is the 1955 Chevy Bel Air. It's my my cream puff car. It's the one car in my collection that almost everything is perfect on it. It is just an outstanding car. Spent way too much money on it at the last auction, but really had a good time with this over the last year or so. You can tell it's been restored, brand new paint, brand new chrome. I mean, just everything on it is in great condition. An original spare in the tire. I've been charging the battery because it was a little low, but overall it's just a beautiful car, and really whoever restored it did a really fine job on everything. Essentially everything's new on this car. The interior. What I like about it is it's not stock by any means, but they went back with kind of a stock style interior. Just love everything about the stitching, the color, vintage air, and all that good stuff. I mean, it's just it's fast, it's comfortable, it's you got the AC, you got all that stuff. I don't want to say nut bolt restoration, but it was a very nice restoration. And of course, I didn't do any of this, guys. I don't want to take credit for any of this. It's just, it came like this. I've literally done nothing to it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful car. Kind of give you an idea of what it looks like in the engine. I mean, everything's just chromed out, and it's just nice and clean. They just did a really good job with the firewall and just making sure all the components are chromed. Just a really nice clean job. That's a 350 that's stroked to 383, I think. No, I'm sorry, 355. And so it's got enough power to get where we need to be, and it's got the aftermarket cooler fan on and aluminum radiator, and like I said, there's the AC system. What I'm doing right now is I'm kind of doing this video because a lot of you car guys will understand this. Got into this car this morning and was really just kind of, I was going to take it out, run some errands with it. I hadn't taken it out in a long time, and it's been sitting basically in that spot right there underneath my lift with a car cover on it. Last time I've taken it out was 6 months ago, and I know that's sad. As you know, I've got a bunch of other projects that I'm working on at any given time. I've been working on the truck. I'm affectionately calling it Old Bones. It's a Chevy OBS, or that's what everybody says is old body style, and so I'm kind of using those initials, and I'll call that project Old Bones because it's black and it's old, and I don't know, goes with OBS a little bit. So so I've got those projects that I've been working on, and really just haven't had time to work on the 55 or even to enjoy it. I took it to a car show this summer. I drove it a little bit, do the cars and coffee with it, those kind of things every once in a while, and it just, mainly just sits in my garage, and that's really the reason I'm selling it is I just don't drive it enough. In fact, I know I'm weird, and maybe some of you guys can relate with this. It's almost too nice. No, it's not almost. It is too nice. It's too nice. I get anxious every time I take it out because I'm afraid I'm going to rock chip on it, or someone's going to door ding it, or something like that. It's just too nice. I enjoy driving it. It's fun. It's comfortable, but it just is too nice for me. I don't trailer my vehicles when I go to shows or those kind of things, and I like to drive them, and it's just, again, for me it was just too nice, and so I'm going to be selling it in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. The last thing though I want to do is I wanted to get it running. I say get it running. I'm getting it running because of the fuel pump issue. I'll explain in a second, but I just wanted to get it out today, kind of stretch its legs, run some errands with it, because Christmas is coming up next week, and my father, the whole reason I bought this car, my dad's first car was a 1955 Chevy. It was a white 1955 Chevy Post, as just exactly this body style. It wasn't the Bel Air, it was the I don't know, I can't remember what the one before it was, but the cheaper version, not the Bel Air. And it was just it had the 6-cylinder, didn't have the V8. You know, no power, nothing, you know, those kind of things. But it was a beautiful car. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, and it, you know, it was that white. It was solid white. It didn't have a two-tone paint job. Didn't have the trim down the side, but it was just a kind of a plain Jane 55 two-door post. The way he tells the story is, you know, it came up on a car lot. It had just come up for sale, and it was kind of one of those things where him and his dad are driving down Main Street. He sees this thing, falls in love with it, you know, first look, and you know, mentions something to his dad, and obviously with no intention of ever being able to buy something like that, or his father buying him that car. You know, he figured he was just going to get a hand-me-down car. He was getting ready to turn 16, go into high school, those kind of things, and lo and behold, his dad takes him, and they go downtown, and he buys this car for him. Took my mom in their first date in this car, or went to prom in this car, you know, those kind of things. Or not this car, but the 55 Chevy. And so I was at an auction about a year ago, and I'd always had my eyes on 55 Chevy. And I'd been at this auction. I can't remember if I sold, yeah, I'd sold maybe a car or two there at that auction. And it was kind of towards the end of the day, and I saw this one, but it was one of those deals where I wasn't there to buy another car. I really wanted to go home without a car. That was my goal. I'd bid on a fire truck, and I'd bid on some other things for charity, and this came up. I saw it in the staging lane. I saw, you know, 2 or 3 cars kind of in the staging lane as I was getting ready to walk out for the day. And I bid on one. It was a 55 Chevy. It was red, gray, I think, if I remember right. And again, it had like tinted windows. The interior had aftermarket bucket seats. It had the shifter, and it just had some stuff that I didn't like. The outside looked really nice. It was kind of I don't want to say resto mod, but it was a really nicely done 55 Chevy. But it was going at a price that I thought, no, I don't want that, because I'd want to change out all that stuff, and then this one was like a car or two behind that one, and it got on stage. I looked at it, went up on stage, just really loved the color combo, the turquoise and white, and then, you know, my dad's kind of the white 55 started pulling at my heartstrings. He had never driven a 55 since that car. He was kind of having some health problems at the time, and so he was just down. He was just down in the dumps. He was having some really bad heart problems and was going in and out of the hospital all the time. And I thought, man, this is a good opportunity to buy a car that I've always wanted to buy. Well, I had a number in my head. I don't know if you guys have ever been to an auction before. You know, you got to kind of set yourself up. I had a number in my head. Let's just say it got to that number, and I told myself, I've got to stop. I didn't stop. And so it got to that number that I had in my head, that I was like, okay, I feel really comfortable with that number. And then, guys, you always got to remember, when you're at an auction, you get, you know, in the moment, and things are going on, and you always got to remember there's a buyer's premium too, and it's typically anywhere between 5 to 10%, in some cases 12%. And so you always have to factor that in to your equation whenever you're buying this. So if you're going to buy a car for $30,000, or yeah, let's just say $30,000, you know, you got to factor in it's going to be another $3,000 on top of that typically to close the thing out. So it's going to be $33,000 total. And then depending on where you're at in the country, you're going to have to work on shipping and storage and, you know, that kind of stuff till you can get it home. So you always got to kind of build in those carrying costs and those extra costs that can really add on and take profit out of a car. Well, I got to my number, kept going. Guys, it got to, I thought I was really getting close. I mean, I got to my number, and then it started going in like $500 increments. You know, it slowed down from 5,000s and then to the thousands and that kind of deal. And I thought I was getting really close. Well, I guess somebody in the room wanted it just as bad as I did, or maybe the auction company was bidding me up. I don't know. But it kept going 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it got way above where I wanted to be. It looked good. It looked presented well. I heard it run. I heard it pull up on the stage. that kind of stuff. And I'm sitting there going, gosh, I should have stopped. I should have stopped a long time ago. And I just said, okay, I'm going to do one more bid. One more bid. That's it. And I'm walking away. And I think I even like motioned to the ring guy, dude, I'm out of here. One more bid and I'm gone. As soon as I I was like, I'm done. Last bid, I told him, this is it. I'm going one more. Hit it $500. And I turned my back and started walking away. And lo and behold, no one else bids. Boom, I walk away with the car. It was one of those things where I didn't know. I didn't know if I should jump for joy that I got it, or I was literally going to throw up right there, because I'd never spent that kind of money on a car at an auction. You know, that was scary. And I look back now, and I probably shouldn't have done it, because it didn't really fit the mold of what cars I really like, which are drivers, that I can get in, I can fix up, I can turn for a profit. There's a really good chance I'm probably going to break even on this car, if not lose a little bit of money. Back to the store. I was getting it out today, going to go run some errands on it because it's Christmas next week. My father's coming up. He has yet to, in a year, drive this car. Every time he's been up here, he lives about an hour away from me, and every time we get together, he's either not feeling really well, or it's dark, or something's going on, and he just, he didn't want to drive the car and mess it up, or he just wasn't ready for it. And quite frankly, it's been a long recovery for him, and so he's coming up for Christmas over this weekend and next week, and he is going to drive this car. And so that's the reason why I was pulling it out today, to make sure the battery's charged, just make sure it's got gas in it, those kind of things. 'Cause I couldn't remember, how I put it away. I pull it out into my drive, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, man, I smell gas. There's a very strong scent of gas. And so I get out and look around, and there's just gas pouring out of the engine bay. And I'm like, what the? And so I popped the hood, obviously turned the car off because I didn't know if it was going to catch on fire or not. And then it stops. The pouring stops. It's got a mechanical fuel pump, because it's a carbureted engine. And sure enough, evidently that diaphragm inside the fuel pump had dried out because it's been sitting for so long, and it was just filling up. And there's a little what's called a weep hole, a WEEP, in the bottom of your fuel pump, a mechanical fuel pump. And really, that is kind of a telltale sign that they engineered it in there for a reason. So that when that diaphragm breaks or becomes dried out or whatever it is, fuel's going to start leaking around that diaphragm and start coming out that weep hole, and that tells you, that's the indicator that, hey, you got a bad fuel pump here. So exactly happened. I shut it off. I knew exactly what it was. So now I go searching. You finally found the part at Napa, went to AutoZone, O'Reilly's, nobody had it, and so finally found it at Napa, and I'm going to be putting that on. If you can see, this is the way the fuel pump sits on the engine. You can see the end valve, which is right there, the round valve, or the round connection. And then you got that other bigger connection coming out. I don't know why that's not focusing. But it is in the wrong orientation. So if it's sitting on the engine just like this, you can see that the end is coming out towards the front passenger basically headlight, and the out is essentially pointed straight at the radiator. Well, that's a problem. You've got a situation where you see the in line is going actually out that way towards the firewall, and then that other the outline right there is actually straight out towards the passenger side tire, and then comes up in the hose to the intake and all that good stuff. So this ain't gonna work, because if I put this on, that's how it's orientated basically with the engine. It's going, I mean there's a good chance I could make this work, but it really needs to be that way, because all the hoses and everything are already set up for that kind of intake system, in and out system. And I just like that. Guys, thanks for watching. Sorry that I didn't I'm leaving you in a little bit of suspense and not finishing the story with changing out the fuel pump, but I hope you enjoyed the story about the 55, and videos are going to be coming a lot more over the next few weeks. Stay tuned. 55 Bel Air will be running in the next video. Thanks, guys. God bless.
See ya.